Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, this is going to be an ugly one. This is going to be a bloodbath. People are going to be very upset, but sometimes you've got to come out with the truth. You've got to come out with the ugly truth and let people mull it over. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share some facts. I'm trying to rip emotion out of this conversation. I'm trying to pretend like I don't even play the game. I'm just coming at you with some cold, hard facts. And what I'm talking about today is what should be changed in this game, either fixed or nerfed, to make it a better game overall. Often we talk about who should be buffed, what champions should be buffed, and there's a great conversation to be had there as well, because there's a load of champions that are just totally underpowered. And I've done those videos before, and I might do a fresh one soon. And I also think that in this conversation, it shouldn't just be champions. So, if we're talking about buffs, what should be buffed? Deflection set should be buffed. It's dull. It doesn't really do enough. There should be something in this like either a higher percentage chance to throw debuffs back, or you cannot be debuffed for one turn, or something like that. Something like a affinity breaker set. If we really want Doom Tower to be cool, change that to 50%. Something like untouchable, immunity for 2 turns. This cannot be removed. Would be way stronger than resist plus 40. Fatal, instead of crit plus 5, I think something crazy like crit plus 10 would be insane and cool. Maybe even take the attack percentage out, but just throw in a way higher crit rate. So there's definitely things that should be buffed. But today we're going to talk specifically around fixes and nerfs. And I'm going to start with gear, but I'm going to get onto champions in a while. And the list is not that long. Now, what most games do, they look at their analytics, okay? There's a bunch of analytics in the background when we're playing these games. And what they'll be looking at is they'll be saying, right, if people own certain champions, certain heroes, what percentage of people use them and where do they use them? Raid's a classic example of this. You can do it so easily. You look at champions, you say, right, okay, so what percentage of the player base own a level 60 whoever, and where do they use them? So Man-Eater's a great example, and I'm not coming on here to bash unkillables, albeit I probably should. But Man-Eater's a great example. What percentage of people who own Man-Eater currently use that Man-Eater in Clan Boss? Yeah, and it will be high, because unkillable teams are over the top broken, and honestly, probably should go into this video as a massive nerf, but we're gonna leave Clan Boss alone, because what I actually prefer to talk about when I'm talking about nerfs, unlike what Plarium did in September, is PvP scene. So what happened in September is we got a whole load of champion nerfs and buffs, but they were focused on PvE play. Clan Boss, dungeon waves, dungeon fights, Doom Tower was coming, they didn't want it to be too easy. So they nerfed the stuff that would be more PvE focused. And actually what games should do is they should generally look at their PvP metas and mix that up, because that's where players start to really kind of theory craft, in my opinion. So Man-Eater we're going to leave out the mix. But we're going to start with a gear set. So people or Plarium should start to see now that Swift Parry in the PvP world is starting to become overused in defense. What does that mean? It means it's strong, yes, but it means it's strong for the wrong reason. It's strong for the wrong reason. It's strong because it throws out RNG. It throws out the Torment factor. 50-50 whether you can kill this person or not. So what people do is they build teams around hoping they don't die. And then if they don't die, they become really annoying to kill again for a while. Now, if there were other gear sets like this, which were kind of strong, overpowered for PvP play, or gear sets which were specifically built to counter this, then actually I'm up for it. Because most games, when I played World of Warcraft, we play PvP, get to Gladiator level, you start getting gear which pushes you on to fight at the real top level, and you start to have to counter different gear sets, or you start to wear gear sets which are going to massively enhance your PvP play. Swift Parry kind of does that, but it's too RNG focused for me. So Swift Parry, I feel like they should be looking at and thinking 50-50 is too high, and it should be probably maximum 25% to be unkillable when hit, in my opinion. And maybe they, I wouldn't even mind if they buff something else. If it was like 25% chance to be unkillable, but they gave you another 5% crit rate, I'd be like, fine, that's a cool set. It's interesting. People should still want to farm it, but you start to pull the RNG out and you start to push in raw stats, which people should work towards. Perception's a great example of a good set which enhances your play. People definitely need it and want it, but it's not overpowered to the point where it throws a lot of RNG out. So I really like the idea behind Perception. There's not that many other sets which I think are as cool or as kind of sought after as these two. So let's get on to Champions then. Champions is going to be a touchy one. And let me start out by saying, if they were to do any nerfs or fixes, significant ones, they have to implement a system that someone can say, you know what, I just want my resources back. That's not what I signed up for. Press a button, you get all of your resources back for that champion that they've changed. And they should do this anyway as a standard. Change a champion, you press a button, do you want your resources back? Your books, your, I don't know, a crate of energy, a crate of silver, and chickens. If they did that, then they could actually go in and nerf and change champions more regularly without a load of community backlash. But because they don't do that, the community get in this kind of frenzy of this emotional frenzy. It's like, I've done all of this work. You've wrecked my game. And actually they lose players for it. So I can understand why they're so wary to do it. But let's get into champions then. So 3 champions, which I'm going to call out, totally overpowered for different reasons. And let's start with the first one. And I also want to say, I like that there's a tier of good and bad champions. Like, there should be some that you're like, yes, but you should never pull a legendary and be like, oh my God. And you should never have one champion that's so far above all of the others. They're in their own tier set. It's just wrong. So we're going to call out someone that I've spoken about for a long time. I've got her. I use her. She's great. There's only one thing, really, I feel like they should change on a Siphi to make her just a little bit more balanced. She will still be insanely strong. But if they just changed her A1 to need accuracy instead of it being not resisted. This sleep on an A1, if you book 100% chance, is actually crazy. It's actually crazy. It can ruin somebody's day. It can ruin somebody's week. People can have nightmares over this sleep ability. It's insane. 100% chance, can't be resisted to sleep someone if you A1 them. It's ridiculous. There's other parts of a kit which are crazy strong, by the way. The kind of Rotus hookup is probably a bit overpowered as well. But I just feel like if you said here, needs accuracy to land, you can't build her as crazy defensive as you need to right now, or as you can right now. Right now, you don't worry about a banner with any resistance on it. Accuracy on it. You don't worry about accuracy in a kit. So you can stack up speed, HP, defense, resistance very easily and make her an absolute menace. So one change, I think, would be for the good of the game. She's the least of my concerns out of these 3, by the way. But she's got to be up there. So the second one, this is going to be upsetting. I'm sorry. Get some milk. You're going to need to cry into your milk, guys. Madame Serris. I would love to know the stats on percentage of people that use her in their arena team that own her. There's legendaries which are meant to do the same thing in terms of be your go second, disruptive, cleansers, decreased defense champions. There's champions that do the same job, but none of them do it anywhere near like what Madame does. This A3 ability is too strong. It's too strong, certainly it's too strong for a legendary, let alone for an epic. It's ridiculous. So, what would I do? And this goes back to the point, I would give you all your resources back before I did it. But this is what I would do. I would pull the decreased defense element out of this skill. So I'd do removal buffs from enemies. Great. It's a great move. Places decreased attack. Perfect. You are reducing the amount of damage that's going to come into you from offensive nukers. But this decreased defense as well is too much. Why? Because it means that you're cleaning off all of their defensive buffs and you're putting a decreased defense on them, which makes them extremely easy to kill. It's too much. It's too much in one ability. No other ability in the game for Arena comes anywhere near it. Not a single ability in the game comes anywhere near it. It needs to be changed. So what I would do is I'd take this decreased defense out and I would actually apply it to Array 2. So Array 2 does all it does right now and has a 100% chance to decrease the enemy's defense. So why? It means that you have to have 2 turns to get all of that good stuff away. She doesn't lose any of her great kit, but it's split over 2 abilities instead of all in one ability. And I know you'll be upset with it. I'll tell you what, if you look yourself in the mirror and are honest and use that kind of non-emotional state, you'd be like, yes, you're right. It's ridiculous. So the other thing you could do, but I think this is a weaker solution because you go back to RNG, but drop the percentage chance for it to land. Maybe it's 100% chance to land decreased attack, 50% chance to land decreased defense. And then you're playing with RNG instead of just having a straight up win ticket. I've got Madame. So Madame has to be changed. She's just so ridiculous. She's so over the top ridiculous, all because of this ability. Think about other people that try and do the same thing. Other people in the game, I can never remember where she is, Sethalia. So I'll start to use Sethalia in my arena offense. Really like her actually. And she's got 100% chance to remove all buffs from all enemies. Same. And then as a legendary, she also does a bit of turn meter play. And she's actually super cool. But she doesn't set up your damage dealer to easily one-shot the enemy. Your damage dealer needs to be built extremely well for this to be enough. Just removing buffs. You have to have an absolute cannon to be able to kill everybody. So what she does is, although she gives you a great setup, she actually, there still needs to be more. There needs something else in the mix for that to work. So Sethalia is a good example of where I think champions should be that are strong versus the broken, which is Madame. Also, what we'll find is if that happened, so if Madame got that nerf, we would see loads more champions come into the game. You know, they're introducing champions with some really interesting skills. Look at this. Chancellor Yasmin, 50% chance, books to 75 of removing all buffs, then places asleep for anyone who's had those buffs removed. Great ability for an epic. She would get playtime if Madame was fixed, because it's a great ability for an arena epic. But at the moment, who would choose this over Madame? Only the clinically insane would do that. So it needs to change. Madame needs to change. The third champion that needs to change, and I've got some stats to back this up. You know what's coming, guys. It's ridiculous. She's ridiculous. Look at those fabulous fires. She is a unit. Now, when we're talking about damage dealers, I love that there's hard hitters in the game. It makes the game really fun. When you've got tiering of damage, there should be, we've got like 600 champions in the game. There should be a low tier, a mid tier, a high tier, and then like a crazy tier. Yeah? I don't mind that she's in the crazy tier. What I do mind is she's the only one in it. She's the only one who makes the tier. She's looking down at everyone. She's like, hello down there. Like, she's so far above everybody else, and she's broken. So 2 things. First, she should be fixed. Second, she should be just brought down a touch. So why is the A2 broken? Let's go through there's two bits of it actually. So firstly, let's just understand. In terms of the game code, it sees it as attacks one enemy, a single target hit. What then happens though is you then AoE the whole enemy team. And the way it's coded is that the second part of that hit does not factor in any further defense modifiers. So if you hit somebody with really low defense for your first crack, yeah, really high HP, low defense, what it does is it smacks that person incredibly hard. It then hits everyone else for 60% of that damage, irrelevant of their defense numbers. It actually just needs to be fixed. Firstly, it's broken. That part is broken. The second part of that is that because it counts it as a single target ability, gear sets like Stalwart, which protect you from AoE damage, don't protect you from the overspill hits. Champions like Norog, champions like Duchess that protect you from AoE hits. Not Norog, sorry, Norog just protects you. Duchess that protects you from an AoE hit. Abilities like Veil and Perfect Veil, which protect you from AoE damage, don't protect you from this. Even though it's AoE, attack all enemies, attack other enemies, whatever AoE stands for, I can't remember now. But it's not right. So it needs to be fixed. The second thing is she just out damages everybody by a lot. So if we're talking top tier, let me show you a damage chart here. We're talking top tier. So we've got down on the right hand side, Still Bowyer. What a champion. This is her damage potential and her AoE hits. I've thrown in someone like a Serris, good AoE damage champion. Venus is in there. A real low legendary, Richthof the Bold. I'm not that fussed that some legendaries don't hit hard. Like, that's not his job. Suzerain, you might argue, is a damage dealer and doesn't hit that hard. But you know what? He does other stuff. So when I'm thinking about champions and whether they're balanced or not, I'm thinking, what do they bring? Are they bringing a ton of utility to counter the amount of damage that they're doing? That's really important. So if someone's bringing a load of utility, it's like, fine, look at all that utility they're bringing. Of course, they're not going to hit as hard. If you're AoE freezing someone, you shouldn't hit as hard as someone who's just raw damage. Okay? So let's move this over a touch more so hopefully you can see it pretty well. What have we got here? We've got the hardest hitters in the game. And you can see this is kind of like plateau of damage, around 20k. These are the hardest hitters now. Biggin, Abyss, Astralon's in there. Like, what's that, top 10-ish? Just outside the top 10. Astralon's in there. And if you see the difference between yellow and blue, yellow is how much damage they'll do without books. Blue is if you then apply books. Okay, so the percentage increases you get from books can actually make a real chunky difference to a lot of champions. Take Mashold here. Mashold, kind of low level until he gets booked, and then when he's booked, he plays with the big boys, around 20k. Yeah, so there's definitely some value in understanding what books are doing to your damage potential here. But if we start to look at the list then, so, you've got Abyss here, who's actually got an ability. Let me show you in game. She's got an ability, not this one. Her mass impalement doesn't get any additional book bonus in damage. So that one is straight up, already at full power, without books. So, if you're one of these people that's like, I don't have any books, I'm not going to get any anytime soon, you can actually make decisions based on this type of info in terms of where should I invest my time if I know that I'm not going to book someone. So, Abyss, anyway, that's to a side. So, Trunda then. Her unbooked damage, 23,878, is higher than almost everybody else's booked damage. So unbooked, she's stronger than basically everyone else already. Broken yet? Broken yet? And these are all the best hitters, guys. Look how much further she goes up than all of the best hitters. Now, there's some in here where you're like, okay, well, you got a Kitis here, an epic. Surely I should be talking about him. He's very unique in that the only way you get this level of damage off is extremely situational. So for him to hit hard, basically he has to be half health. To set yourself up to be half health before you do your damage hit is very difficult to do and very dangerous to do. And chances are you'll have a pretty low win rate. Or you might even get yourself to a 75% win rate with a cardinal type setup or something. But it's very situational and prone to danger. Other champions like Deathless, similar sort of thing. Extreme setup required. You've got someone in here, I'm sure people are looking at it thinking, hold on a minute, what's going on with Robar? He's got a big hitter on 2 of his skills, and he's one of the hardest hitters in the game. So why are we not talking about Robar in the same sentence as Trunda? I'll tell you why. He's gimped. He's got an 87 base speed. He's very, very difficult to activate because he's already got his own gimp. That's one point. Second point is, to do that level of damage is very situational. Enemies need to be asleep, stunned, or frozen. So if someone's frozen, they take less damage anyway. So that one's out the mix. That one won't do that sort of level of damage. If someone's asleep or stunned, it means you've used a champion to set that up, which means you've got one less slot in your team. Yeah, so you can't bring all the champions you want to make this happen. And you probably need 2 speed champions to get this away for him to have a chance of doing that level of damage. So although, yes, his damage is high, he's hard to set up. If we talk about other hard hitters, so I use Ethos right now. Ethos, good levels of damage here. Yeah, good base levels of damage. But look at the chunk extra. We're talking an Ethos coming in at what, 23k roughly, 22, 23k, versus a Trunda coming in over 30k. We're talking about, what's that, 30% upside of damage? 30, 40% upside of damage? From one Void Legendary who doesn't bring any utility to a Trunda is way, way, way too much. The difference between 2 great champions here is too extreme. Way too extreme. If we're talking about Candraphon does a lot of damage, but he needs a Veil on, and he needs and that generally means the enemy needs to have gone first. So quite a lot of setup required. We've got Ray here, actually a really hard hitter. I like this one. Ray, hard hitter on Array 2, but there has to be a debuff on the enemy first. So I guess, guys, it's just a bit ridiculous. You got, firstly, Trunda's broken. Secondly, her damage numbers are through the roof. And there's nothing in her setup to compensate for it. So, you're probably like, well, what's her speed like? It's high. 100. She's even got quite a high defense, really. 980. Yeah, it needs to change. It needs to change. I'd say Plarium need to grow a pair and get it done. Because at the moment, and you're probably like, why don't you just buff everyone else? What, buff 100 champions or nerf 1 champion? Come on. Come on. It's ridiculous. 1 champion just needs to have a damage multipliers dropped down a touch. I'm not talking a lot. I'd be more than happy if she comes in and she's sitting around, this 25k level, and she's maybe just a squidge above, and then you kind of bring, or maybe, no, not even 25, it's still too much. 23, yeah, somewhere around here, I'm fine with. It's almost like remove the damage from my books. Boom, she's done, she's fixed. But yeah, she needs to change. Why is it so busted? Well, you don't even need to bring a decreased defense champion if you're running a Trunda. It's so ridiculous. If I try and play decent opponents and I don't bring decreased defense, I can't one-shot a team. Not with an Ethos. With a Trunda you can, which means you've got a whole nother spot in your team to do something else. It's wrong, guys. It's wrong. So look, hopefully you're still with me. Hopefully you understand my reasoning behind this stuff. Do I think other stuff should be buffed in the game? Yes. But 3 nerfs of champions I think are essential. And 1 change to gear set, Swift Parry, I think is essential for the balance of the game. If you want me to do a what should be buffed and how video, fine. Let me know below and I'll do it. But that's my view. The ugly truth is out there. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.